Hello everyone. Let's start our lecture. Lecture number 14 that calls three-dimensional computer design of models on the discipline automated planning of wares of light industry. And in today's lecture, the aim of today's lecture will be to be acquainted with 3D technologies used in fashion industry. So as you can see on this picture, what do you think in this picture? It is not a real picture. It's a picture of a virtual store with virtual mannequins and virtual clothes on them. So today we're going to speak about 3D technologies, about virtual prototyping using 3D technologies in fashion industry, in light industry. According to the lecture plan, we have two questions. The first question is direction for development of 3D design, and the second question is technologies of three-dimensional computer-aided design of clothing. So let's start with first question. Directions for the development of 3D design. Since the beginning of the 70s of 20th century, the scientific works of foreign researchers in the field of three-dimensional computer-aided design of clothing were mainly aimed at creating a realistic three-dimensional image of the clothing model on the monitor screen. And about 2 decades later, in the late 80s, 1980s, publications appeared in foreign sources that reported that after the creation of a simple three-dimensional form of clothing, a serious problem of obtaining patterns of this form arose. And what do you think, what was the problems in this field? The first problem was that 3D mannequins that specialists used in such technologies, they were not well developed. And the models of clothes that were prepared, designed using these 3D mannequins, they didn't look like natural, like real clothes, like natural fabrics. I mean, natural mean real fabrics, like real fabrics. They didn't seem like real clothes and real fabrics. So that was the problem. And this is one of the first and biggest problems in this area, and different softwares, they work in this direction, still work in this direction. So today, the world's leading companies in the field of software development for the fashion industry identified the creation of three-dimensional design system as one of the main priorities. So it's not 2D design anymore, it's more like about 3D design. Currently, 3D solutions are available in following CAD software. I just want to list some of them, the biggest names in this field. This is the Gerber Technology, USA, Asahi, Japan, Electrosystem, France, Optitex, Israel, Clo 3D, and etc. And many other companies that develop such technologies. Today, research in the field of three-dimensional computer-aided design is carried out in the following areas: creating virtual dummies, dummies means mannequins, in modern CAD systems, and evaluating the features of their development. The second area, development and correction of existing methods of designing clothes with elements of 3D design based on the relationship between the parameter of spatial models of the product and their flat scans. Development of tools for graphic designs of mannequin. The development of the implementation of mechanism for obtaining flat scans, taking into account the properties of materials. That's the question that I mentioned before. And here we have number of fields that 3D technologies appearing. The first thing is modeling clothes. So it's flat patterns taken from 3D model. Then it's virtual fitting. Then it's virtual samples, virtual collections in virtual stores, and fitting clothes from the virtual stores. So as you can see, 3D technologies in apparel industry, they are developed in different directions. Start from modeling clothes and ended up in fitting clothes from the virtual stores, or fitting clothes in front of virtual mirror, for example. And some companies, they already developed such technologies. For example, in China, in a virtual fitting room, you can try on some shoes, for example. That's an interesting feature that appeared recently in La Moda. So the second question is technologies of three-dimensional computer-aided design of clothing. And the process of designing clothes using the automated creation of the silhouette, of its silhouette design in 3 dimensions contain the following main steps. So what should we do to start working in this direction of 3-dimensional computer design in order to develop new styles of clothes? The first thing, the first step, you have to choose a 3-dimensional type dummy or assigning an individual figure. So here we have two ways. We can choose already done dummy, like standard mannequin, or we can create a dummy for the individual figure type. And here is the big field for improvement. The second step is to create a 3-dimensional model of clothing So using this 3D dummy, individual or standard one, you can create a three-dimensional model of clothes using different instruments in different softwares. Third step is development of flat model construction. So it will be like unfolding wrap, как развернуть упаковку, одеть 3D-манекен и потом сделать плоскую развертку для того, чтобы выполнить лекал. To make flat patterns. Third step in this clothing development is to development of a flat model construction on the base of 3D mannequin, 3D model, and then development of a set of patterns, and then layout patterns. And here we can see that third step, sometimes it's a flat model construction. Sometimes we can use usual instruments of 2D design here because it's flat. And fourth stage and fifth stage, it's again, it's more traditional way of developing production patterns. So we don't use exactly actually 3D design, 3D technologies, but just we work as with normal 2D flat patterns. And what we can do here in the future, I mean, what we can do here with 3D technologies is we can use 3D printing. So we can now we know that some fashion brands, they use such technologies, so they can print some parts of clothes or even the whole piece of clothes. It can be printed using special materials. And we will speak about it later on in this lecture. So the first step is choosing a three-dimensional type dummy or assigning an individual figure. As we know that 3D dummy is a result of 3D scanning. 3D scanning is a technique used to capture the shape of an object using a 3D scanner. The result is a 3D file of the object which can be saved, edited, and even 3D printed. 3D scanning technologies rely on different physical principles and can be classified in categories. The first category is laser triangulation 3D scanning technology. So using a laser beam. Second one, structured light 3D scanning technology measures the deformation of a light pattern on the surface to 3D scan the shape of the surface, and I will show you the short video about it. Photogrammetry, again, short video will be provided. Also called 3D scan from photographies, reconstructs in 3D a subject from 2D captures with computer vision and computational geometry algorithms. And contact-based 3D scanning technology, again, I will show you some video about it, relies on the sampling of several points on the surface measured by the deformation of a probe. Probe means образец, sample. If we speak about structured light 3D scanners, use trigonometric triangulation, but do not rely on a laser. Instead, this technology works with the projection of a series of linear patterns onto an object. The system is then capable to examine the edges of each line in the pattern and to calculate the distance from the scanner to the object's surface. So here we have some video, and I can show you here in this picture type of 3D scanner that you can actually hold it, and you can scan, for example, the leg to make some protective products. If we speak about the light industry, for example, it can be shoes, can be some orthopedical shoes. And here is the short video.
Welcome to Artec's video lessons. In this lesson, you will learn how to scan a human body with Artec EVA. As long as you know how to set up an optimal environment for scanning and follow our recommendations, you will be able to get a great model after only several minutes of scanning and processing.
So they say it will be very easy to scan.
There is sufficient space to walk around the person when scanning without a turntable. Although it is possible to scan virtually anything, clothing and accessories can affect the quality of the scan. If the person is wearing dark or black clothes, consider increasing the texture brightness to make scanning easier. The opposite is true if the person is wearing white. If the person is wearing...
So they are setting some rules to scan the figure correctly.
A minute. Continue to move the scanner around the head, scanning from all angles. Don't forget to scan behind the ears. If the scanner has problems seeing the hair properly, hold it above the difficult spot for longer. So
they suggest to scan, firstly, they suggest to start scanning from the head and then go to the body itself.
Hair scanning. You should always keep an object that is easy for the scanner to see in its field of view, such as a shoulder or the person's back. Scanning the body is easy, as long as you meet a few simple conditions. Scanning the body is much like scanning the head. First, you scan the front of the torso front, then the side, then the back, and then the other side. After this, you can go on to scanning the legs. Always remember, to get a good scan, you must change the angles of the scanner so it sees the person from every that it does not have any holes. If there are any holes, rescan the area in question. If you'll follow these advices, after a bit of practice, scanning people will become a piece of cake.
So as a result, you can see the virtual model of a person, virtual dummy. So technologies so there are two types of scanners. The scanner that you can hold, and the scanner that like standing scanners, the big ones. You could see such type of scanners in the big airports. For example, in Amsterdam airport, they have such scanner, but they don't use it to measure you, to make a 3D copy of your body, but to check people because of terrorism and issues related to that. And another type of 3D scanning 3D scanners, contact-based 3D scanning technology use such type of scanners. And this technology relies on the sampling of several points on a surface measured by the deformation of a probe. Contact-based 3D scanning is also known as digitizing. The contact technology for 3D scanning implies a contact-based form of 3D data collection. Contact 3D scanners probe the subject through physical touch, while the object is firmly held in place. And you can see here the picture of this 3D scanner. And here the operator makes 3D sample of a form for creating shoes. The second stage of designing, creating a three-dimensional model of clothing is an important stage from the position of creating a 3D dimensional shape. Unlike the traditional planar design, like 2D design, where the source material is a basic construction, a three-dimensional dummy serves as the basis for 3D modeling. Since the creation of a spatial model based on a given spatial dummy occurs in space, it allows you to immediately estimate the external shape of the model on the monitor screen. So as you can see on the picture, we take 3D mannequin and then we make the shape of the future clothes, and then we place the simple sheets of the future piece of clothes on the virtual dummy, and we make virtual connection of the sides of the pieces, and then we use the physical properties of the materials that we want to apply to this model, and we create a realistic view of the sample. And then on the last stage, to correct the model, to correct the fit of the model, to check whether this model, this style will be comfortable, we can see the fitness of the model to the dummy. So for example, here, the red color shows us the areas where the fabric, the material, contact with the skin very closely. And yellow part shows us that the material of the fabric is quite, we have some space between body and the fabric. And the green one is the farthest areas, biggest gaps between the fabric, between the sample and the virtual mannequin. And we can regulate it, we can change it as we develop this model. And some examples of popular software that use 3D technologies. I'm going to show you a short video about such companies, such solutions. The CAD system Assist of the German company Assist Balmer presents the VIDIA three-dimensional design model for clothes. It has a number of tools for adjusting the 3D model of the design product due to changes in plug patterns, as well as the distance mode module for virtual fitting and evaluation the degree of fit of the design product to various parts of the virtual figure, illustrated on the monitor screen with a darker color for a greater fit and a lighter for a larger gap of the product from the body. So you can simulate and visualize your collection. You can take real fabric, real body data, real material properties. And we can simulate real dress here. So we can change instantly the view of the model with the 3D technologies. Alter some parts of the model in real time. I can simulate samples immediately. And you can monitor size and fit. It will be huge cost savings. You can change the fabric. You can change the color of the fabric. So again, salesman samples will be reduced because you can demonstrate your virtual samples to buyers, and they can choose which size and which color they want to buy without using any physical sample. So they don't need to go and choose from physical samples. You can go through tablet and find whatever they want to buy. So such technologies they use. In the direction of virtual fitting based on color differentiation, 3D cut of clothes of Browswear International Ltd was implemented, including a module for stitching flat patterns, V-Stitcher, a module for modeling the shape of the figure surface, V-Styler, a module for virtual fitting of the product in 3D space simulation, which allows you to evaluate the fit of clothing by the level of fabric pressure on a 3D mannequin. So the Browswear International Ltd is another solution in the area of 3D cut of clothes. And as you can see, they make the same decisions, they work in the same way. And I want to show you another example of this Browswear company, V-Stitcher, a product called V-Stitcher. So they have access library, so you can choose the type of fabric. zippers that can drag and drop. Drag and drop buttons. Type of buttons. So even you can add some shoes to make a virtual model. You can add background image. You can make interactive history. You can change the position of decorative elements. You can make a collection. You can do an animation. So they have animation plugin, dynamic tangent map. Check the fit. So the models are very realistic, as you can see. And the last technologies that I want to quickly show is 3D printing in fashion industry. It's the technology that have very big future, I think. And let me show you video of such technologies. This is a collection of Iris van Herpen, quite young designer, but very famous one, because she tries to use 3D printed materials in her work, laser technologies to cut ornaments and materials. So you can see the piece of clothes that had been printed using 3D printer. So such technologies have a brightest future. So today we're studying 3D technologies, using 3D technologies in light industry, in fashion industry. And we learned the stages of creating new model of clothes using 3D technologies. So it starts from 3D dummy, from 3D scanning, then we form 3D dummy, then we form 3D sample, and then we can check the fit of this 3D dummy, we can change the colors and textures, then we can make the virtual collections, we can upload them to demonstrate, to show to potential buyers or customers through online stores. And then when the samples goes, the physical samples go to the physical stores, the customers, they even can fit the virtual samples using virtual 3D mirrors. So 3D technologies are everywhere, and we have to be ready to such technologies, to development of such technologies in the future. Here we have control questions related to this topic. Try to watch again this lecture, this presentation, and to answer such questions, these questions. That is all for today. Thank you very much for your attention.